An invitation to turn your Substack into something you can touch. I've always loved magazines. Creating one in 7th grade was my favorite assignment in my school career. So in September, I curated that month's posts into a digital magazine, a collection to look back on. Last month, I printed my magazine after creating it not for anyone except myself. And seeing my work in real life as a greater whole and to be able to hold it in my hands, 5 stars, I highly recommend. So after sharing this on Substack Notes and seeing everybody's super kind comments and curiosity about how I did this, how I created the magazine, and how I printed it, I wanted to hop in and show you exactly how that was done. So first and foremost, I created a magazine version of that month's posts. So the first time was September of 2024. At the end of the month, I went into Canva here. I went into their templates and I was able to type in magazine and all sorts of different templates came up. I found one that was simple and that I really liked, and then I went from there and kind of created my own. Each month, as I go through these, you'll see I kept the same base after a while. The pages and the setup is the same, and my creativity gets to come a lot through the cover. That is one place every month that I go back. I go into the templates and I look for a new cover that speaks to me, just because I think it's fun to create something new each time. So this is the first magazine that I did here in Canva. I have this little letter from the editor page here where I talk about just how the month went and pose a question. And then I take snippets from each. Now, it's not the entire article, but I just take a snippet and one of the images I used on the actual Substack post. And you'll see it just keep it really simple. And that was the first one. It then evolved as I went on and I kept some of the same structure, but I continued to add on with what is to come next month, because by the time I post this, it's already into the next month. And so I have some posts done that I can direct people to have them read. And at the end, I added a join our community post. You can see it just keeps evolving. I wanted to tell people what they can expect in this issue. And then I moved on with some of the same design as before. And this time I added in notes because I started to use notes more and I started sharing what I was interested in. And so I thought this would be cool for me as a marker to see what articles did I like that month? What did I share? And so I really use notes and restacking as a way to earmark what I've liked or a quote from something I've read. And then I can chronologically have them here to reference back again too. In December, you'll see I tried an iteration in this issue, and I really like a lot of imagery. And so I thought that this worked well. And then I started to do these events. And so I thought this would be a good way to, again, notify my people of what I've been sharing about and a way to remember what I did that month. I also added in here offerings that I have. So if we think about a regular magazine, my thought was I obviously don't want regular ads, but I thought this would be a good way to also let people know about what I do in addition to Substack. And so I started to add these in here. I talked about my mini courses and my one-on-one work, and you can see how that evolved. I move certain things around and try them in different places based on what I'm focusing on that month. So this month, the meetup was at the bottom versus the top. But in February, I put it right towards the beginning. And this is when I started printing in February. And so after I did the whole creation, I then needed to add some pages to be able to actually print it. You have to have a certain amount of pages. So then I put the covers in here so that if I pick up any magazine, I put these QR codes in here. I can easily scan and then go to that actual magazine on Substack. Once I've created this, I then put it on my site. So the February one, for example, all of the images go here and then I can hyperlink everything and this gets sent to my list. I like to add in polls for conversation and just keep all the links in this one digital space, which is great because then also people can comment and I'm able to, especially with the notes, link out to people and allow them to shine as well. Once that's finished and I've posted it, I then go through and use, it's an element. If you type in QR code generator, this one came up and I used that app. And then I can just put the links to each of these pages so that when it is printed, I have a way to go read that whole thing. When I'm in my Canva, I'll just go to the last one I did. I'll make a copy of it. And then I create a new cover and add in the information. What that looks like in terms of adding in the information, I know people were curious about that. And so all I do is go to my archive and I open these all into separate tabs. And then I just kind of take the first couple sentences and I literally just copy, and then I just fill in this text box and paste it and then do any tweaking to make sure it fits. And then I tend to use the images that I actually used on that post. So I'll just right click and save them to my desktop. I drag and drop them into these placeholders I have here, and I'm done. I make sure that the date is correct. When all of that is said and done, I've posted it on Substack, and then I've added in the QR codes. Then I just click up here, this Print with Canva button. It'll come up with letterhead, and I go back here and I click magazine. I click this. You can preview everything, which is nice. As you scroll here, it'll change the preview up here. And so I just make sure nothing's going to be cut off. It's $21. I click continue, and then I go ahead and I print it. And within 7 days, it's at my doorstep. So that's how I do it for me. I am working on figuring out as print on demand for my readers in case they would prefer to be more analog. So I'm looking at some integrations for that. And so when I have that information, I'll share it so that you could do the same with your Substack. If you have more questions, feel free to let me know. I hope that was helpful.